Hello, students. Today we're going to be working more on ecosystem stories. And we're going to be working in the Spring Stories folder on Scratch. So the first thing that you can do to get this project started is to fill out your science observations sheet that your teacher has already sent you. In order to do this, you need to find a quiet place outside near your house that's parent approved and fill out the questions on the sheet. Now I filled out an example which is on the screen now. As you can see, I was near my house and it had just snowed, and so water was dripping off my house. That's something that I both saw and I heard. There was also some wind in the trees. I saw a bee flying. I could smell a lot of mud because things were melting off, and it certainly smelled a lot. And I could even smell a few blooms coming up on a tree near me. The feel one is a little bit harder, but I bet if you take 10 quiet minutes and really think about it, you can pick up some things. I myself felt some wind on my skin. And where I was sitting in some grass and some mud, and the grass was tickling my skin, so I felt that too. Now, your goal is, so we're working on our observation skills and our ability to communicate our observations to others today. So your goal is to take those observations and show as many of them as possible in a story. Now, I've created a code that we're going to be working off today. It's called Ecosystem Story number 2. So when you go to Spring Stories, you can just click on that option, Ecosystem Story number 2. Okay, so you can click here, and there will be a button that says Remix right here. I'm going to press the inside because I'm the one who made the code, but for you, it'll say Remix. All right, now the reason we're operating off of this code today is because I figured it would be easier to make some example codes for some of the things that you might observe. First, you might want to think about what sounds you want to play. So I'm going to click here on sounds. Now, sound I've hidden, and so let's keep it hidden. And the only purpose of the sound character is to hold all of the possible sounds we might need. So I included some jungle frogs. I included some squeaks. I included some forest wind. And you can choose other sounds here by pressing this button. Now this is under the Sounds tab. When you're ready, you can go to Events. You can grab a When Green Flag is clicked. You can decide whether you want it to loop forever or not. And you can go to the Sounds tab and grab a Play Sound Until Done. So I can leave that here, and I can choose what sound that I want to play. Or if you're feeling really creative, you can try to record your own outdoors sound. But the goal here isn't to have human sounds, it's to have sounds that you might observe in the ecosystem that you're studying. Okay, so I'm going to leave the forest wind, and I'm going to have that play forever. So when I press green flag, it's going to play a forest wind. Next, if you observed any wind, I created a wind character. Now, the only thing you need to do to get this started is you can click on the wind character, and you can connect this chunk of code to when I start as a clone. And you can see wind will start blowing around. Great. Next, you can choose a backdrop. A backdrop will certainly help tell your story by showing sort of what ecosystem you're in. I was in a forest, so I'm going to click on forest. We have wind blowing by. If you want, I recommend doing either wind or rain, not both at the same time. So I'm going to disable that, and I'm going to go to rain. And if you want, you can just connect this if it was raining that day, and rain will start pouring down on your screen. All right. Finally, add additional characters that help tell your story. You might want to tell the story, oh, I don't know, if you saw here, let's go to animals. I don't think you saw a dinosaur, but hey, maybe. There are dragonflies, things like that. So those are all living things, biotic factors. And you can also choose abiotic factors. So there's probably a rock if you want to use that to help tell your story. Maybe you saw, oh, I don't know, a squirrel playing in a rock or something. You can choose trees. So I'm going to choose a tree and add that to my story. I'm going to change the sound a little bit. Now, my goal was to have wind blowing through the trees, so I'm going to add some wind, right? And let's see, I saw water dripping off of a house, so I'm going to see if I can add a house as well. Let's see, so I imported a house. Now I'm going to have some water dripping off that house, so I'm going to go to Sprite, and let's see, make a new sprite. And I'm going to choose colors, make it kind of a blue. And let's see, I'm going to just create a little drip. Let's see, yep, that's going to be my character. And I'm just going to name it Drip. Put it like right here. Make that 50, make it a little smaller. Drag it right here, because it was dripping, the water was dripping off of my roof. Now I've dragged it to its starting position, so I can grab a go-to block. It has the character's current coordinates. So I can drag that here, and then I can drag it to where I want it to go, which is the ground. And then I can grab a glide, right? The glide has its current coordinates on the ground, right? And I'm going to grab a green flag to get it started. I want this to go forever, so I'm going to grab a forever loop, and then I'm going to press green flag. And there's my drip, drip, drip. Now I wonder if there's a drip sound, so I'm going to go to the sound character and go to sounds, click here, and let's see, drip. Oh, there is a drip. So I'm going to have some drips playing as well. I'm just going to duplicate the code I already had for sounds, and I'm going to click on the drop-down menu and choose a drip drop. Your project does not have to have these exact same elements. Please, please, please make characters based on your observations, the things that you see, you hear, you smell, and you feel, and then try to add as many of them to your story. And as you code, build up a list of questions of things you don't know how to do. Write them down. So that way, when we're in class on Tuesday, you'll have a good list of questions to ask me and Mrs. Culver and Amanda.